What's up? Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Shred Show live with me, Josh Pitts, and very special guest, Victoria DeLuce. I'm excited to have Victoria on, and we're talking about something this morning that's not quite as sexy as most people think, but you're going to want to stick around and you're going to want to listen in because this industry, this world that we're living in right now, it's a little bit crazy, and we're going to dive into that. But before we get into all of that, if you're joining us here live on Shred, make sure you comment hashtag Shred because you're shredding it with me and Victoria this morning. And if you're joining us on the replay, make sure you comment hashtag Hustle because you're out there hustling, you're getting it done, then you're coming back to get the best of the best knowledge and expertise and then going back at it. Victoria, good morning and welcome to the Shred Show.
Good morning, Josh.
So excited to have you on. And again, like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about a topic that isn't quite as sexy as people always like, but you bring such a great expertise and a knowledge. But before we get into all that, for those who don't know Victoria, give us a little background on you. You've been in this industry a long time. You have such a knowledge and an expertise for this industry. So share a little bit about your background in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been in the mortgage industry for almost 12 years now. Always on the capital market side of things. I started off for a well-known hedge advisory firm, Vice Capital Markets. And then I was a trader at Quicken Loans in their capital markets department. I mainly focused on their non-agency jumbo book. And I've been with Success Mortgage Partners, my home, and for the last 3.5 years, running their capital markets department. So a lot of knowledge on the capital markets side of things. And what a crazy time we're in right now.
Oh my gosh, super crazy time, which that's what I'm excited to get into with you this morning. And I want to make sure we're clarifying it's a trader of Quicken, not a traitor of Quicken. Just want to make sure we clarify that later. Some people are like, whoa, what's going on? But no, I'm excited.
All my friends over there.
Because right now, I mean, everybody knows there's this refi boom that's going on. Rates are going insane. And you're one of those who actually has the background and the knowledge to share a little bit about that. So we're going to dive into that. But before we get into that, again, you and I are both going to be at the Michigan Mortgage Lenders Association, the MMLA event, the sales symposium next week, a week from yesterday, March 11th. And that is going to be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Suburban Collection Showplace. We will post a link below. So if you are in the local area of Michigan, or if you want to come from wherever you're at, you definitely want to attend this event. I'm going to be talking about shredding your goals and how to make sure you can always, or the art of creating a loyal audience. And then Victoria, you are talking about exactly what we're about to jump into, the secondary market. And again, it doesn't sound very sexy. Most people are like, oh, the secondary market, one of those discussions. But there's some things that people should know. So let's dive into that because there's some facts. There's some things that sometimes we as originators, sometimes as industry professionals, we're just like, well, rates are low. We're happy. We don't care about everything else. But we should because there's some things that are truly affecting our industry and our markets.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, you were just talking about possibly traveling to Michigan to come watch us live. And that brings me to the focal point of the hour, which is the coronavirus, right? You have people who are not traveling, who are saying, okay, companies, I think Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac may have shut down travel for some of the things that they're doing. And that's all backlash from the coronavirus. And people think, oh, well, there's this virus going around and how does that affect me? How does that affect my rate sheet? Well, it affects you guys a lot. So for all of you loan officers out there, I'm not sure if you guys have 401ks or anything like that. I'm sure you've seen the effects there. But when people get nervous, when there's uncertainty in the market, people will flee the stock market, as you've seen read across the board, and they will go to the bond market, which is where we live, which is the mortgage-backed security market. And as that happens, that market will improve and terms that we use rally, and that means your interest rates are going to go down. And we have actually seen record low interest rates. Today, Freddie Mac announced that the average 30-year fixed rate is at 3.29, an all-time low since they've been measuring since 1971.
Wow.
Yeah, we also saw the 10-year yield hit all-time lows. Right now, I'm actually looking at it. It's hovering at 0.941. We saw it dip below 1%. As far back as I looked back to 1962, this is the first time that's happened. So crazy things going on in the market. I'm sure everybody is super excited because you're taking more applications than you've ever taken in your life. We here at Success Mortgage Partners have broken record after record after record, locking more loans than we've ever locked in the last 3 days. And that, spills over to some of our providers. If anybody uses Optimal Blue out there, great system, but the lock volume has just been more than they could possibly handle.
We broke the system, ladies and gentlemen. We broke it.
So, it's just a lot of crazy things going on out there, making sure that you're communicating with your borrowers, letting them know what's going on. Obviously now and I never ever give a recommendation of, when to lock. It's always up to the borrower. But rates are really great right now. And, we're excited to see what's going to happen. And it's been crazy and fun trying to mitigate this risk. But
So I want to talk about this because I literally had a call from one of a really close good friend, LO of mine. She called me and she's like, "Hey Josh, what do you recommend?" Because there's a lot of chatter on all the Facebook groups and forums talking about, should I lock? Should I not lock? And again, I don't want to so much get into that side of things because again, that really is, you nailed it on the head. That's up to your borrower. So let's talk about that a little bit more in depth right now, because sometimes a lot of people know this about me. I'm a gambling guy. I like to take a little bit of risk. I think we all do if we were in this industry, especially when it comes to locking. But when it comes down to it, when you're having those conversations with those borrowers, with your client, if they're ready to lock, you should lock. If you have a conversation, you should not gamble because you don't know. Maybe it will go down. Maybe it will go up. But if you talk to your borrower and they're comfortable with it, don't take that chance. What are your thoughts on that?
I could not agree more. That is actually the number one thing that we recommend to all of our loan officers, because at the end of the day, we are in historically low rate environment, right? I was just looking at the Freddie Mac chart, looking back to the late 80s and early 90s of interest rates at 18%, which seems like unfathomable. And it's just, we are in historically low rate environment. If your borrower wants to lock. If the rates do get better, which brings me to my next topic of renegotiations. Right. So you have a loan officer or a borrower really that locked 2 weeks ago. The market has improved tremendously. So what does that mean? Right. A lot of companies out there do have renegotiation policies. But for most companies, the policy is to have no policy, because at the end of the day, a rate renegotiation is just a fancy way of saying a price exception. Exactly. And so, and the difference between an eighth in rate and obviously we know here at Success that we don't want to lose any clients if we don't have to. And so we take a look at every single deal on an individual basis to see if it makes sense. I really do think that having no policy is probably the best policy.
See, and I absolutely agree with that. And this is one of those conversations that, like I said, I literally had an LO call me about this. Hey, what do you the market's starting to go. Some, lenders are starting, their pricing is getting worse a little bit. And I think one of the things that we've created for ourselves in this industry is price is everything. Price is important, but it's not everything. And like you said, we're at historic lows. Our clients are depending on us to actually educate them on what's going on. They don't know. They have no idea. They're not like us. They're not watching. Most of us don't watch the bond market every day anyway. Some of us do, but most of us, we're just watching what was what were lenders posting on rates today? I think we truly have to continue to not make it all about rate all the time. Again, I'm not saying rate's not important. Rate's absolutely important. But there's so much more to that. There's so much more to the client, to the service, to what we provide as experts. I don't even call it advisors is really what we are.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, with rates being this low, rate really isn't as important. Now, when you see huge disparities in rates where, one company's at a 4.5 and another company's at a 3, well, that's meaningful, right? Sure. But rates are super low right now. But again, it's the loan officer's job to communicate to the borrower and set expectations, right? Everybody knows that rates are low right now. But with rates being so low and the influx of volume, you're going to start to see turn times widen out, right? So a loan that may have closed in 15, 20, 25 days may take a little bit longer to close now, because as mortgage companies battle all of this volume that's coming in, that puts a lot of stress on their operations departments. And so underwriting turn times may not be as quick. We see that at a lot of the larger institutions. Technology has been fantastic, and everybody that made technology updates over the last year or two are really, really excited to see how it's working and how it's playing out. But at the end of the day, there's still a human element to this process. And so as the volume increases, I think loan officers, yes, talk about rate with your borrower, talk about locking in at appropriate times. But again, setting those expectations of, what the process is going to look like in this type of environment. And I'm sure all of the great mortgage companies out there are doing everything that they can to get that loan to the closing table as quickly as possible. But it's kind of like drinking through a fire hose right now, all the way from the LO to, the president of the company. So.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're talking about, Victoria. You are actually going to be going, we don't have the time to go into depth, but at the MMLA Sales Symposium next week, you're going to go into depth about this topic. So that's why you guys, we want to kind of give you not a teaser. Victoria shares some incredibly powerful and some very, very tactical insights right now, but she's going to be going even deeper on this subject, how to utilize the markets, how to understand them better for not only you, but for your consumer, for your client. So you ultimately know what's best as that advisor, as that expert. So you definitely want to make sure you attend the MMLA Sales Symposium next week in Michigan, because it's going to be a ton of fun. Victoria, is there anything else you want to share before we've kind of teased them? There's some really good stuff that we've shared so far. Like this has been a powerful 8-9 minutes of everybody's like, oh my gosh, that's why the market's going crazy right now. That's why this world's going nuts.
No, really just stay vigilant. Make sure that you're communicating with your borrowers, making sure that you're watching the market, making sure that you're looking at your rate sheet. And some of the other things we've often focus on the conventional market, right? The agency market and what's going on there. But we've also seen some crazy things going on in the government market for our FHA, VA, and USDA borrowers. And I'm sure that a lot of you have seen the spreads on your rate sheets as the bond market continues to compress, because what the market's doing is they're pushing everybody into those lower rates, which we call coupons, right? But for the loan officer, coupon's a dirty word in our world. So,
yes.
But it's pushing everybody to that lower end of the rate sheet, and just making sure that when you log into your Optimal Blue or whatever pricing engine you use, that you're opening up your rate sheet and you're really looking to see, oh my gosh, 10 basis points could get an eighth, or in some cases, 0.25% in rate. And so that's a huge selling point for all of the loan officers out there, just making sure that they're not just looking at that par rate, that they're getting in there, they're looking at what's best for each one of their borrowers. And, 10 basis points or 25 basis points may save them thousands of dollars over the life of the loan. So
be vigilant. I absolutely agree. You have to be paying attention. You're the advisor, you're the expert. You have to know what's going on. And it's stuff like this. Sometimes, like I started this show, sometimes we're just like, well, what are rates doing today? You have to know what actually is affecting those rates and what to watch for. Some of these trends and some of these things that are very important. They may not sound sexy when we talk about the secondary market. Sometimes people's eyes glaze over and they're like, oh, here we go again. But again, if you are the advisor to your clients, you need to know these things. So Victoria, we cannot thank you enough for coming on and sharing a few of these little things that we should be watching for. And again, we are just touching the tip of the iceberg here, ladies and gentlemen. Victoria's going to be going to a lot more depth next week, March 11th, at the MMLA Sales Symposium. We're going to post a link below, because you're not going to want to miss this. This is a local event in Michigan, a great organization to be supporting. So Victoria, thank you so much again for joining us for a few minutes this morning. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on, Josh. Really looking forward to it.
Looking forward to hanging out with you next week in Michigan. It's going to be a ton of fun. And again, ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to want to miss this event. But as always, we couldn't do this show without you. So we appreciate you. We love you. Now it's time to go shred, go show up, hustle, repeat every day. See you guys.